Hi, my name's Angela Williams, and I am the owner of Noble and True Christian Life Coaching. I work with teens and adults in the Houston area.
And I'm Dominique Benson, the owner of Engaged Minds Academy. We are a virtual tutoring center, and we work with students starting at third grade all the way up to college level. So today, what we're going to be talking about is different scenarios that parents come to us about, because dealing with teens, we get a lot of different topics. And the main one that I hear a lot, and I'm pretty sure you do too, is my teen is always on their phone. So,
Yeah.
and they always say, if my teen would just get off the phone, then what? Everything would be better.
The world would be perfect.
But my question is, are they on the phone because they want to be, or is that a symptom of something larger?
I think from working with teenagers, it's a symptom of something larger. The first way I would answer that is, what are they doing on their phone? Do you know what they're doing? Sometimes when a parent sees a kid on the phone, it's an instant trigger. They're just fooling around. But are they using it for homework? Are they looking at their class schedule? What are they doing on their phone? And then if you figure out that they are socializing or playing games or anything but homework, then have you got a phone addiction issue, which is a whole nother issue. So the first thing is figure out what they're doing. The second thing is address the issue of why they're on their phone.
I never think about phone addiction with teens. So for you to bring that up, that's very significant and a much deeper problem.
Absolutely. You've worked with a lot of teens. Have you seen kids that are on the phone all the time be able to perform well academically?
Great question. That goes back to what you were saying about what are they doing on the phone. Now, the teens that are just doom scrolling, going through TikTok, Instagram, whatever platform they prefer, that's one thing. They're not doing anything significant. They're too busy learning TikTok dances. So, not quite high on the list of things I would suggest, because it takes time away from academics. However, if they're playing more of the strategy games, not the ones where they can find all the cheat codes online, but the actual games that forces them to think and they have to use their memory, all those skill sets, that is perfectly fine. Just not all day, of course. But if they're spending 20, 30 minutes a day doing strategy games, it's building a skill set that a lot of students don't have right now, because everything is Roblox or whatever game that they desire, where they can go online and get cheat codes to everything and just plow through the levels.
So I've got a follow-up question. When you see kids that are on the phone all the time and doing well academically, are those the kids that can do constant interruptions and go back quickly? Because some of the kids, they'll get a text and then they're just gone. Some of the kids, I think, can handle that interruption and go right back. What do you see from teenagers?
As far as going back and forth, that really depends on the kid. Because, we have a lot of alphabet soup with the ADHD and all the other labels that some students have. I think it's just how they maneuver. Some of them need that 5-minute break to decompress or do something extra, and then they have a clearer mind to go back to their assignment.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so when parents are trying to take the phone away, what do you think? Is that beneficial, or is that something that they should already have an agreement upon?
It's nice to have an agreement of rewards and consequences to start with, so that if they have met certain criteria that you set, that they can earn privileges, and a phone is a privilege. I personally think having the phone and being on the phone all the time is a symptom of something else. Either the phone addiction, which we mentioned, or does this child need help with learning prioritization, time management, being aware of what assignments and projects and tests are coming up? Are they on their phone because they just don't know what to do? And that's where being involved with your teen and making them responsible for knowing their class schedule, knowing their projects and exams and homework schedule can help them learn, okay, I've got ABC due tomorrow, but I've also got all this due next week and next month that needs to be a priority, and teaching them how to set up their day where it's not all or nothing. You can't give them our lives aren't an all or nothing where we just work and we get no privileges or downtime. Teaching them, this is the requirement and to start on this project now so that you're not last minute rushing next week, teaching them how to do that now so they know how to do it later.
Okay. So to follow up on that, do you think it could be a form of escapism for students that aren't very social?
Oh, absolutely. I think it can be if you've got a kid who's really struggling socially at school, it can be a way for them to have contact with the outside world, either directly through chatting or texting or indirectly just watching the doom scrolling, watching other people interact.
Okay. Yeah, that's something that I've noticed with some of my students who are more withdrawn. That's their world. Like they don't want to be out going to things. They just want to be online in their chat room or Discord or Twitch. There's so many of them now. I can't keep up with them.
Right? So when you are working with kids, what do you see when kids don't actually have a study plan in place? Like if I've got a kid that I'm working with that is on their phone all the time and it's obvious they just don't know what's going on at school or they don't know how to manage their time, how do you figure that out when you're working with them?
I honestly, I normally get a hint during the consultation.
Okay.
Because the parents will say, oh, let's say call her Shelly. Shelly spends 3 hours at night and she's up late studying for a test and she still fails it. And so they're like, I don't understand why she's doing all this studying but still can't pass an exam. And it's because they aren't studying correctly. They're just attempting to reread over and over again and nothing's being retained, even with what books they're using. So most of the textbooks now aren't actually physical textbooks. They're all ebooks. So students are just reading and highlighting online. They don't make any written notes. And so I tell my students, you have to write things down. Make your own cheat sheet. It doesn't have to be you recreating the textbook, but having a few pages where you just have big headers and you fill in bullet points, that goes a lot further than just reading something over and over again.
Okay. So do you think learning how to study is something that's lacking in school? They're just not teaching it, or is it something that has changed since we've gone more digital?
I think it's a mix of both.
Okay.
Because when you go digital, there are some aspects that are phenomenal. Like when you're trying to find something in a book, you can literally search a word or a phrase and they'll bring that up everywhere it is in the book. Or it may be a video that you can only get in a digital book versus a textbook. You have to just search through and kind of make your own conclusions, or you're just looking at pictures. It's not interactive. So yeah, it's a little. And as far as the study systems, the systems that we may have used or the parents now are using are completely different. Every generation, the studying changes because the testing changes. So you have to think about how you're being tested as well. I don't mean teach to the test, but understanding the test so that you can strategize how to score higher.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So one question I have for you as far as the phone management, what is one thing you would tell a parent in order to mitigate that so they're not having arguments about phone time?
Learning time management. Being aware of what everybody in the household, being aware of what the child's schedule is academically, extracurricularly. And also, what are the other outside requirements for time, whether it be church or family or sports, and just being aware of what is exactly on each child's plate. And I've seen families do this in different ways where Sunday is sit down and they'll go through the planner and this is due on this day and this is due on this day. And so this is what we need to be aware of. And there may be a day where they don't have a lot on their calendar, where if they wanted to have some downtime and veg and doom scroll, okay, if their grades are fine and they don't have a lot on their calendar. There may be weeks where it's a really heavy academic week, and maybe that's the week that the parent doesn't give them extra chores or book, outside evening activities for them to do because they know it's being respectful of each other's time and teaching them, yes, it's downtime. Yes, unfortunately, we've learned to use our phones as escapism or mind numbing or how we shut down at the end of the day. Teach them how to use that in a healthy way where you're not on it 5-6 hours and then the next night you're up till 3 a.m. trying to get a project done, that you've all looked at the calendar and encouraged them. So it's a little bit of making the teenager responsible for their own academic success and standing back and letting them manage their time, but also being cognizant that if they're not managing their time wisely and they're putting things off and they're on their phone, using that as a teachable moment.
Well, that brings me to the next huge topic we get.
Yeah.
I do my best work the night before.
Right? I feel like you're targeting me, Dominique.
I don't want to target you. I'm targeting all the kids. Because they tell us this all the time. They don't want to do anything early.
No, they don't. They do not. So, do grades reflect kids who put things off till the last minute?
Absolutely.
All the time?
Not all the time. I won't say 100%. But majority of the time, you can tell when a student submits work that was done within the last 24 hours. I know even when I've worked with adult students and I tell them, hey, you have a month to do this project. And if you want to submit it early, I'll look it over and give you notes so you can resubmit it. Still don't take it. So it's not even just the teenagers with that. I've had that happen at the collegiate level. But had they actually taken the time to start it earlier, they could have got a perfect score because I give them the feedback. I'm literally looking at the rubric and looking at what they're submitting and telling them where their gaps are. So imagine if teenagers took that opportunity, because there are some teachers out here in high school that will look over their assignments if it's like a major paper or whatnot. And if they don't take advantage of it, then why are you complaining about getting a C or a D?
Okay, so what you're telling me is kids can submit a project. The teacher will look at it.
Some of them.
And then let them make changes.
Mm-hmm. But they have to do it early. You can't do that a night or two before.
No.
But if you have 3 weeks to do a project and you want your teacher to look at your outline, if it takes them 5 minutes and they have the 5 minutes, what teacher would realistically tell you, no, get out of my classroom?
That's huge because that was not available when I was at high school.
Yes, I remember that being available in high school and in college. That's a big reason why I scored well in theology, because I didn't know what the teacher wanted. I was confused a lot. And I would take him my outlines and he would take 5 minutes, look through it, or I email it to him. He'll send back a few notes or tell me I'm going too far left or too far right. And I was able to course correct.
Okay.
So my question for you, most parents, when they see their student waiting to the last minute, they just say, oh, they're being lazy. Are they actually being lazy though?
Sometimes they are. For real. Sometimes they are. Sometimes it's learning. It's the difference between just regurgitating information and actually learning it. Because unfortunately, in a test-based system like we have now, test scores are everything. So kids are being rewarded for mass memorization and just spitting out the information, and they're rewarded for it. So when you're rewarded for it, you think that's what they want. So I need to wait till the last minute, memorize all this information, pass this test, and then I can forget it. So you've learned anxiety. I'm going to perform under anxiety and time pressure. And then you're going to learn, I don't actually have to remember this. I just have to be able to spit it back out. But the issue is now you've learned to perform under anxiety, which brings anxiety issues later on in life as you're working and being in adult relationships and learning to function with peers and friends and significant others. But now you've also, the next class that you go to, we all know that information builds on it. You start in entry-level math and you work your way up. If you've just learned to regurgitate information, it's that much more anxiety-inducing because now you don't have the information you were supposed to learn off of. And so it just continues to snowball, 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 snowball.
I see that a lot. And specifically, the main 3 courses I see that in is Algebra 1, Geometry, then Algebra 2. And so a lot of my parents would question, why is geometry between Algebra 1 and Algebra 2? But it's more foundational skills from Algebra 1 that are used in geometry, and they don't want the students to forget after they go to Algebra 2 and they have more complex topics. So it actually works out in the favor of the student for them to take geometry in between. But if they never learn those foundational skills from algebra, every single math and science will be affected because it all goes back to Algebra 1 skills.
Got it. What are some common reasons students put off studying until the last minute for a test or project?
Time management. That is a major thing. And the best way I explain it to parents is look up time blindness. Students will know when the due date is, and they think, oh, I got plenty of time, I'll get that done after the next project that I have this week. And they keep putting it off because it's always something that's due that week. But before they know it, it's 3 days before the project. And they're saying, Mom, I need to go to Walmart, or I need to run to the store and pick up this, and that. And the parents are like, well, your sister has a game tonight. How can I help you with this? We have to do it after the game. And next thing you know, it's the night before. The parents are up till the wee hours. The kids are up. They're tired the next day. And what could have been done in increments over the past 3 weeks is now being crammed in a night or two. So that's where it all goes back to. Like you said, time management is a huge thing. Just having dates written down. And some of my students, I don't even push them to have like a planner or anything. I'm like, just have a to-do list with the due dates beside it. Like, just keep it simple. You don't have to have all the extra stuff and the stickers and the fancy digital calendars and all the family members are color-coded. We don't need that. Just a simple to-do list with a date will get them a lot further, and we can avoid a lot of that last-minute panic.
Yes.
So as far as their confidence, I know you spoke about the anxiety. Mm-hmm. How does that affect their confidence for even life and job skills if they are accustomed to these high anxiety levels?
Well, if you've started down the path of waiting till the last minute, not really knowing the information, regurgitating it out, going to the next subject, you always feel like you're a half a step behind, that you're having to relearn or remember and then try to catch up. So the confidence levels can really plummet during this because your parents are aggravated with you because your grades are slipping, or you're waiting until the last minute and there's fights at the house or with your teachers, or they're getting called in, and it just continues to escalate, where you've taken a kid who was high performing because they were regurgitating and now they're a poor student. So then they feel like they are just not able to learn, or they're not able to get the grades, or they're just, and I hate this one, I'm just a bad student. Because they're not.
That phrase literally haunts me. Mm-hmm. And I typically hear it from the parent side. Yes. Where the parent will say, oh, I was always bad at math, or your dad was always bad at this, so I'm not surprised. That's not a reason.
No, or school's just not for me.
I would love for my parents to stop saying that they're bad at everything, because then I have 5th graders who are telling me, oh, my mom was bad at math, so that's why I'm bad at math. I know genetics have a lot to do with how we learn in different aspects, but you can train. Just like an Olympic athlete, they train. Their parents probably, some of them, yes, their parents were Olympic athletes, but you can't tell me every single Olympic athlete had a parent that was one. So I say treat it like the Olympics. Train your brain, train your skill level, ask more questions, because there are a lot of things that people are bad at, and then when they work towards it, they're some of the best. Think about all the people that have dyslexia that are multimillionaires right now. They didn't let that hold them back.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things we've talked about is the time management and being aware. And so what you and I have worked on is the Teen Success Program and doing the template. So how does that figure into the time blindness?
When you have a plan, then you're aware, because time blindness is more so it's like in your mind, you know that you have a due date, but have you actually looked at today's date? Because how many times you woke up and you're thinking it's Tuesday and it's actually Wednesday? So even something as simple as, like you said, sitting down on a Sunday night and just laying out the dates, because there are plenty of times I mix up the days and the dates. It happens. But if you know on Sunday, I have this on Wednesday, this on Thursday, this is due Tuesday, then you can prioritize and make sure you hit everything in an order that makes sense, so that you're not thinking, oh, I forgot tomorrow's Thursday. So using a planner like the one we created allows both the parents and the students to take a week at a glance, essentially, and see all that they have, so that we won't overlap with anything. I've had students who had dentist appointments on days of their tutoring sessions, but the parent was able to tell me the week before because they already had their week planned out. So it wasn't a last minute, oh, they have a dentist appointment that's been scheduled for 6 months. They saw it all laid out and they knew, oh, we booked that dentist appointment before we started working with you. So we're able to adjust and keep it going. So that weekly planner changes the whole dynamic of the family from my perspective, even as just a tutor.
Absolutely. So that brings us to our next topic that we hear a lot is, how do I quit being my kid's manager? Which is one thing Dominique and I have worked on. Is you heard us talk about the Teen Success Program and our weekly planner to help kids, help families become more organized and stop being time blind, I think is what you called it, time blindness.
Yes, you want them to be proactive and not reactive.
Right. Right.
Okay, so I've seen this happen as a tutor where the parents are scheduling all the tutoring sessions. So how does a parent go from supporting the student versus being their manager?
I see a lot of parents not only schedule their tutoring sessions, but they go through online and tell their kid what is due the next day. They're not the ones at school. So the issue is making the kids be responsible for their own academic life and making them responsible by one of the functions that when we did the planning sheet, is the kids are the ones that fill it out. They put, I have these assignments due on this day. I have this project due on this day. I have these tests on this day, so that they know what's coming up and they tell the parent what's coming up. So if you find yourself with a lot of micromanaging, having to go back and remind, going online a lot to see what's coming up, you need to direct your teen back to being in charge of that planner.
And that comes into play a lot of time with extracurriculars and social events. So I could see making sure the teen takes ownership. And just like anybody, any adult, we have to take ownership of our schedule. So I think it's better for the teens to see that now as a student with a support system versus going out into the real world and losing a job because they didn't make it on time for whatever reason, or they missed certain meetings. And I don't think some of my parents understand that. Like, you have to slowly hand over the reins to create a better adult, even as a teenager.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What are some small signs that a student is beginning to take ownership of their responsibilities?
Oh, I love that. So I'll never forget, I had a student, and she was one of the 3 in the household that I was working with. She would book sessions, and the parents had no idea she booked sessions. And I got into the habit of, when she texted me or when she went on the link and booked, and I would ask her, did you let your parents know that you're booking a session this week? And she was like, no, they told me just book whenever I need. And that made my heart happy, because not only are the parents giving the kids the flexibility to book their sessions, but she knows when to ask for help. And that is very significant, because when I first get students, most of them, they don't even know how to word the question. They just know that they don't understand. Their key phrase is, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, what don't you know? Do you know what 1 + 1 is? Like, we got to start somewhere.
But I think having that realization of what a grade is and what it can do and what it can get you to, and having future plans makes them excited to do the little things.
I agree. I think it's amazing. So as far as them taking ownership, how does that translate to what they're doing after they get out of school?
Well, when I'm working with kids, I like to explain it. Grades are tickets. The more tickets you have, or the better the grade, the more tickets. The more tickets you have, the more opportunities you have in the future. And if they have a chance to sit down and talk about, these are some goals that I would like to have in the future, then when you're sitting down and saying these are the grades you have to be able to do that, or this is the focus you need to be on at school, it's not all about college. It could be trades. Well, then what can we focus on trades-wise in high school that's going to get you to where you want to be? And once they're part of that goal setting and that future focus and understanding what a transcript is and what it's for, you get a lot more excitement over doing the academic things and progressing well in school and taking some more ownership in it.
I love that. I like that you said they have options.
Absolutely.
Because that's what I push. I'm like,
college isn't for everybody.
It is not.
And that's okay.
Oh, I push a lot of my students to the trades.
Oh, absolutely.
They think, oh, I score well in math and science, I should immediately go to college. Do you want to? Is that beneficial? Let's look at everything. Because
absolutely.
A lot of my students, I'm like, trade school is amazing. That would be awesome for you to get out in the world and just work. You can still do classes online. You can still do whatever programs you want to do, but there are more options than just college.
Absolutely.
Okay. So after all we talked about,
yes,
what is one thing that you would want any parent to take, well, every parent to take away from what we've discussed?
As aggravating and as hair-pullingly exhausting as getting your kid through high school is, remembering that this is a time of learning. They are not going to intrinsically know this stuff. They're not going to pass every grade. They're not going to excel at everything. It doesn't mean they're a bad kid or a bad student. It means they're learning. And if we take the time to teach them time management, prioritization, awareness of what's expected of them and what's going on, you're setting them up for so much less stress and anxiety later on.
I agree with that.
What would you like for them to take away?
Treat school like an Olympic sport.
Okay.
Because every Olympian, they don't just work out when their trainer is present. So with tutoring, we're just a trainer being present. But when we're not there, you should still be working just as hard, if not harder, so that when we do get together, we can fine-tune things and make it to the Olympics.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was great talking to you. I know.